giraffes in his backyard. What the? And lions and tigers and bears. You can't buy a man that got a whole zoo in his backyard, a Bentley, and be like, will you do this? He's laughing at that. Bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube, and for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's continue talking about Jackson family values. Memories of Madness by Margaret Maldonado Jackson. Man, this girl, this is the one, this book right here is among the greats. For years, Catherine and Joseph had been involved with a real estate developer named Gary Berwin in a joint venture to build an entertainment complex in LA. As with almost every venture that Joseph touched, this one was going nowhere. Berwin eventually ran out of patience and sued Joseph, who was ordered to pay Berwin $3 million. Berwin never got the money and must have gotten frustrated waiting. He took out an ad in the Hollywood Reporter trying to sell the judgment to the highest bidder. No word on how he made it. Either Michael or Janet could have loaned or given Joseph the money, but bailing Joseph out of financial trouble had become a habit. They'd both given up. I agree with them. They did not want to put themselves in a position to be the safety net for their father. I get it. It was about this time that the Jacksons found a new pot of gold under a different rainbow. This one belonged to the Reverend Son Myung Moon's Unification Church. The Moonies, for short, a man named Kenneth Choi, representative of the church, appeared on the scene and began spending time at the Havenhurst house. At one point, he, his wife, Margaret, and their baby, Albert, even moved in for a week. Choi offered the family $15 million to perform 4 concerts in Korea. Joseph immediately accepted the offer for the entire family, despite the fact that he no longer represented any of them. He got a black Rolls Royce Kanishi for making the deal. Catherine was offered $1 million in cash if she could guarantee that Michael would perform with the brothers. To her credit, she refused the cash. Okay, Catherine, I know she ain't pushing it that much. Wait a minute, Choi. We don't know how this situation gonna go, Choi. Because that last tour was a debacle. It was full of debacleness. To her credit, she refused the cash, but did put pressure on her most famous son to bail them out once again. Jermaine and I went with Rebe, Catherine, and Randy to Korea for what was supposed to be a meeting with Reverend Moon. He never did see us, but as we sat waiting in the lobby outside his office for an hour, his emissaries kept running in and out. Jackson family will help unite Korea, they told us eagerly. North and South, bring together. Bring together Jackson family too. Money was flowing like water. Choi bought Hazel a new Range Rover. What the fuck is Hazel doing there? Why is Hazel there? Ain't they divorced? He also bought Jermaine a cream-colored Bentley, which Jermaine drove to Neverland and offered to Michael in the form of a polite bribe. It didn't work. Of course not. Michael has giraffes in his backyard. What the fuck? And lions and tigers and bears. You can't buy a man that got a whole zoo in his backyard, a Bentley, and be like, will you do this? He's laughing at that. No, Jermaine. It didn't work. Michael wasn't interested in doing a concert with his brothers. He had already agreed to go to Korea to do a concert for International Children's Day, and his brothers were becoming a stumbling block for the deal. As things heated up and allegations ensued, back and forth, news of the scandal started to appear in the tabloids. It was only weeks later that Michael's longtime manager, Frank Dillio, became a victim to it. Hey, y'all the one that told me that Frank Dillio is the dude who played in Goodfellas in the very beginning. I think his name was Tutty. He was Paulie's younger brother. I didn't know that was Frank Dillio. Damn! Damn! Because technically, Michael Jackson didn't agree to do nothing but that concert for the children. Not all this other rigmarole that the Jackson family tried to get him to do. Nothing but the concert for the children. So because things got out of whack, Tutty got fired. Midway during the mooning mess, Frank was fired in typical Jackson fashion. By telephone, by an attorney. In this case, John Braca, who would eventually get fired the same way. Bring! Michael Jackson's attorney, John Braca. No, you're not. This is Michael Jackson's attorney. Your services will no longer be required. Flashing back to LaToya's book, LaToya said that her and Catherine had a very tight relationship. Catherine was not LaToya's mammy. She was, but she was also LaToya's handler. So now that everybody's out of the house, all the children's out the house, Catherine and Peggy are now pretty close, okay? And Catherine is starting to tell Peggy about the stories that have happened throughout her life as a Jackson and the Jackson mother. The saddest story was about a woman named Cheryl Tyrell. In 1974, Joseph invited Cheryl, who was then in her early 20s, to a party he was throwing at Havenhurst while Catherine was away. After everyone left, Cheryl spent the night with Joseph in his and Catherine's bed. Now, LaToya ain't say nothing about this. Wow. LaToya ain't really give us too much of anything in her book. I mean, she gave us something. Now, this mud hunty right here, oh, this motherfucker is fully packed. You hear me? This blicker is fully packed. After everyone left, Cheryl spent the night with Joseph in his and Catherine's bed. Cheryl got pregnant and alerted Joseph that she intended to have the baby. Javani Jackson was born on August 30th, 1974, the day after Michael's 16th birthday. Although Joseph placed his name on the birth certificate as Javani's father, he tried to cover his tracks to keep Catherine from discovering what was going on. It took her only a matter of days to learn that there was a new baby girl in the Jackson family. Same thing that LaToya said in her book, which is shocking to me because a woman like Catherine, I would believe that her faith would not allow her to take her anger out on the child. In Catherine's eyes, it constantly reminds her of the infidelity. Some women are like that, okay? But if you're going to stay with the man, you better accept the fucking child. According to Peggy, Catherine told everybody don't go near the child. Because if you love me, don't go near that child. We're going to pretend like this child is not here. Reby, who I'm not surprised at, was like, Mama, you sound ridiculous. That's our baby sister. What are you talking? Reby went on and seen the baby anyway. I'm pregnant. I told Catherine after receiving confirmation. She broke into a smile that would have reached from Encino all the way back to Gary, Indiana. And we started jabbering away the way expected moms and grandmothers do. As soon as I heard the news, I ran to Catherine, eager for her blessings. I later found out she was happy partially because she thought Jermaine and I would finally set a wedding date. She loved the fact that we were living in the house but wanted our relationship legalized. She thought my pregnancy would ensure that we would take that step. Word of my condition spread throughout the household, and everyone seemed genuinely excited about the news, Jeremy included. More than anything, Jermaine hoped our next child would be a girl. Every time he brought up the subject of having a daughter, I couldn't help but remember Dawn, the mysterious Dawn. Her name first came up while Jermaine and I were living in our condo in Pacific Palisades. He mentioned he knew this girl named Dawn who lived in Atlanta, Georgia. He said that she had been abandoned by her father and that he had grown close to her, even providing financial assistance when her mother asked. Listen, there was a time that in my family, okay, a woman was welcomed into our household, okay, on my daddy's side, all right? Ooh, Oh, girl. One time I went down there to Capitol Hill over my grandmother's house, my paternal grandmother's house, and child, Nay, this is your aunt, blah, blah, blah. Huh? My aunt? Grandma, you ain't had no baby. Why she so old? Why the baby so old, Grandma? When did you get pregnant, Grandma? Baby, that's your aunt. That's my aunt. That's not my mammy sister. That's not my Aunt Wee Wee or my Aunt Crystal. That's not my aunt. Grandma, when you had this baby, Grandma? Where she come from, Grandma? I'm 7. Now, I was told a similar story. Okay? A very similar story. And I'm going to leave that there. I tried to be accepting because I knew Hazel had allowed this girl's visits and had put up with Dawn for entire summers. Putting aside my reservations, I invited her to visit for a few weeks. When I first met Dawn in 1987, she was about 11 years old. A tall, pretty, light-skinned girl with a nice personality and one annoying habit. She kept calling Jermaine Daddy. What? Who this lady? He told me Dawn had been calling him Daddy since the day they met. As sweet as she was, I was always relieved when she left. Her mother would call on the phone asking for money, and Jermaine would always try to scrape cash together. I always wondered why. Whenever we moved, Dawn would follow us from house to house, eventually visiting us at Havenhurst. Soon after I discovered I was pregnant, Catherine was as perplexed as I was. Margaret, I don't understand. Where did this girl come from? She asked. Through your son's pickle. What you talking about? Anyway, I don't know. We're going to move forward. The best I could do was shrug my shoulders, relieved in my heart that Catherine didn't look upon her as another grandchild. By this time, the girl was about 5 feet 6 inches tall and was still sitting on Jermaine's lap, calling him Daddy. It was enough to wear anyone's patience. In the meantime, I had ballooned with pregnancy number 2 and had to watch this thin, young thing hang all over Jermaine. It was embarrassing and pathetic. The only one who failed to understand how inappropriate it was Jermaine. Jermaine, who baby is this?